at an Auburn recruiting class for 2019 that was finalized 2 weeks ago, that first Wednesday of February, of course, with the National Signing Day first wave coming in December, and about 80 to 85% of the athletes signing then. It's completely changed the dynamics of this entire process. You've got 9 of a near top 10 class, according to the 247 composite, already enrolled and ready to go for spring practice. Would love to know, when you look at the entire class, where you think Auburn hit a home run, where you think maybe there's some guys under the radar that weren't necessarily at the top of the class, but that you really like based on what you've seen on tape, and maybe where they missed or didn't fulfill a position or two of need.
I think definitely if you look at the strength of Auburn's class, you have to go to the defensive line. The signing of Jared Handy, Charles Moore, and Kobe Wooden up front was a big get for Auburn, and they provide a need not only as far as numbers go, but athletically. Auburn is going to be thin on the defensive line. If you just look at the numbers over the next couple years, as you have an expectation of obviously graduations, when you look at Marlon Davidson and Derek Brown, which was a big coup in coming back for Auburn. Derek Brown may be the top defensive tackle in the country returning for this next year. He and Davidson will both be seniors. Nick Coe will be a draft eligible junior next year as well. So they're probably looking at losing their 3 top defensive linemen. So it was not only a need for some depth right now, it was a huge need for next year. Handy and Moore headline that group. Kobe Wooden's a little more of a pass rusher at this point. And also another guy you can throw into that mix. He's listed as a linebacker and may stay there, but Derek Hall II out of Mississippi is a 6'4", 220-pound defensive end, outside linebacker type guy who may end up with his hand on the ground. He's also somebody else you can toss into that mix if you just want to look at the strength, and it would have to be the defensive end, defensive tackle positions, because they're also probably looking at Handy and Moore moving inside to defensive tackle. So if you've got those 2 at tackle, you've got Wooden and Hall at ends, you've got a pretty good group there when you start talking about strengths of this possible class for Auburn in 2019.
So, Jamie, when you look at the team in regards to the roster currently, the personnel losses from 2018, and then the class coming in 2019, and obviously not all of these guys are going to be impact players, period, and less of them are going to be impact players immediately in 2019. But when you look at positional needs, where do you think maybe Auburn missed it?
Well, when you talk about a positional need that was missed, I think the offensive line is definitely going to head up that group. And there's nothing against the 3 young men that signed in Justin Osborne, Keandre Jones, and Kamar Bell, especially Jones and Bell. They both look like very good-looking, productive offensive linemen, you know, for their college futures. The thing about all 3 of those young men is they're projected to be centers and guards, and Auburn is really starting to mount some worry as far as the offensive tackle position when it comes to depth this year, and especially in the future when you look at the fact that Prince Tega will be a senior this year. The other offensive tackle will also be a senior this year. The first listed backup for both positions is a senior this year, a guy that hadn't really played much in Bailey Sharp. So it's just one of those deals to where the offensive tackle depth on the roster is really starting to thin out big time, unless you're looking at the possibility of someone like a Cameron Stutz or someone like that playing right tackle, then that's very possible. But as far as just what the projectables are, the offensive tackle position would be the big swing and miss. The popularity contest in that swing and miss would be a wide receiver because of the George Pickens failure there on National Signing Day. But if you look at what is the real swing and miss portion of what Auburn did as far as this signing class, as it relates to what they signed and what they have in the next year or two, is definitely, without question, the offensive tackle position.